At the Halloween party, my son dressed as me. Same jacket, same cane. He laughed and said, "I'm the old man who still pays for everything." When the party ended, I walked over to him and said, "You don't have to pretend anymore." The next morning, every one of his cards was frozen. By me. My name is Frank Mallory. I was 72 that fall, a widower, a carpenter who kept a small shop in a small house that still smelled like lemon oil and sawdust. I had 2 grandchildren who loved my pancakes and a son who, at some point, stopped loving anything that did not serve him. I did not talk much. I kept receipts, spare screws, and my temper. I believed a man should leave his house in order. I believed my name should mean something good when my granddaughter said it out loud. That night I felt it being turned into a joke. It was a neighborhood Halloween party in a rented hall with orange lights and a fog machine that left a sweet fake smell. The table held bowls of candy and a tub of beer. My son walked in late, loud, and ready. He wore my old bomber jacket. He had a gray spray in his hair and a rubber cane he wobbled for laughs. People clapped. Music made the floor hum. "Look," he said, stepping up on a chair. "I'm the old man who still pays for everything." He tapped the rubber cane and took a bow. The room popped with laughter. His friends, his wife, even a few people I had known for years. It was a clean burn. My face felt hot. I stood by the cider and paper plates. I felt like a coat someone had left on a hook. The jokes landed and rolled. "Does the cane come with a debit card?" a man asked. My son tilted his head at me and smirked. I tried to smile. I did not want my granddaughter to see me break. He came over at one point and leaned in. "Lighten up," he said. "It's a joke. They love it." He smelled like cologne and beer. He took a handful of candy from a bowl and walked away with his arm around his wife. I stared at the empty bowl and thought about my late wife's voice, steady and kind. She would have said, "You do not have to stand in the middle of someone else's joke." I looked around the room. I had done work in 3 of these houses. I had built a railing that kept one neighbor from falling. I had fixed that hall's stage years back and never sent a bill. My hands had built things that lasted longer than parties. But in that moment, I felt small, like my name was a tab everyone could open. My phone buzzed. A payment alert. 2, then 3. My stomach tightened. I slid the phone back into my pocket. Not now, I told myself. Not here. The music shifted. A line dance started. People sang and shouted. He did the cane joke again and milked it. Laughter again. His wife wiped a fake tear from her eye. When it ended, the parking lot was cold and wet. He came out with the cane tucked under his arm. I stepped into his path. My mouth was dry. "You do not have to pretend anymore," I said. He blinked like a flash had gone off. He opened his mouth. I did not wait to hear what came next. I walked to my truck and drove into the dark with the words still on my tongue, heavy as a stone. I took the long way back, past the school and the closed diner and the line of maples that used to make my wife point and smile every fall. The road was slick with leaves. My hands were steady on the wheel. My chest felt tight. The phone buzzed again in the console. It was like a cricket under a bowl. I did not pick it up. I thought about other nights. The first time he shouted at a waitress because the kitchen forgot his side. The way he said "old man" to me when the lawnmower would not start. The day he took his mother's watch to have it cleaned, and I saw it on his wife's wrist the next month, still scratched. He said I was being dramatic. He said I should stop keeping score. I remembered the cookout when he joked that my shop was a hobby for seniors. I smiled and flipped the burgers while people laughed, because that is what men are taught to do. Twice I had offered to walk him through the books at the shop. Twice he rolled his eyes. "I know how money works," he said, grabbing another beer. "You keep the lights on. I keep the life going." The phone kept shaking the console. I pulled over on Miller Street and turned it face up. It was a late fee warning on a card I had once handed him for emergencies. It used to be for car repairs and groceries. Then it became dinners and trips. Then it became a second life. I sat there and watched my breath fog the glass. A man tries to be generous, and then he does not know when generosity turned into fear. I asked myself when I first slipped. Maybe it was when my wife got sick and I wanted one thing in my life to be easy. Maybe it was when my granddaughter was born and I did not want anyone to fight in a house that had a newborn in it. I turned off the alerts and drove home. The house was quiet. I stood in the dark kitchen and listened to the heater click on. I wanted to go to bed and wake up in a world where my son was a man who stood next to me instead of on my shoulders. But the world was this one. I poured water and looked at the sink light on the counter. The phone lit again with another warning. I took a slow breath. The party was over. The joke was done. I pulled out a chair at the table. If the past was a pattern, I needed to see it, not wish it away. I was tired of being handled. I wanted to handle it. I sat down, turned on the lamp, and opened the drawer where I kept the things that would tell me the truth. The kitchen lamp drew a small circle on the table. I spread the statements out. I had not looked in detail for months. I had trusted his voice more than my eyes. That was my mistake. The numbers did not care about tone. One card showed a balance of $19,642. Another was at $8,570. A third, the business line, was at $12,980 with a $1,200 payment due in 4 days. My name sat at the top of each page. I swallowed. I ran my finger down the columns. There was a $1,950 charge at a steakhouse. Then $4,520 at a place I knew sold bottle service. There was a $2,250 rent payment on autopay. I did not live there. A cabin deposit for $6,800. A weekend I had not been invited to. There was $1,980 for a golf retreat. There was a $950 boutique for leather boots. There was $3,400 at a camera store. There was an $890 charge to a phone upgrade plan. There were 3 flights totaling $2,760. A second trip charge showed $3,980 with a note I did not recognize. I wrote the totals on a pad. $19,642 plus $8,570 plus $12,980 equals $41,192. I added likely interest for 2 months. I added late fees. The number felt like a lump in my throat. $43,000 and change. My pension was steady but not endless. My shop paid its rent because I was careful. I thought of my granddaughter's braces. I thought of the roof. I felt the house tilt just a little. At this pace, it would hit $50,000 by Christmas. I checked the transfer history. There were gifts I had not approved. $400, then $600, then $1,200. The note said, "Thanks, Dad," and "just this once." The dates rolled into this month. It was not once. It was always. Anger flickered, then fear. Fear beat anger because fear understood math. If I did nothing, in 2 months that number would be 50. In 6, it could be 70. The party laugh track pressed against my skull. I rubbed my eyes. I am not a lawyer. I am a man who measures twice and cuts once. I looked at the pile and knew the cutting would hurt. I pictured the shop. I pictured the truck. I pictured the 2 college jars on my top shelf where I put $5 bills for the kids. I wondered what kind of man lets his name be used like an open door. I wondered what kind of father I wanted to be tomorrow. I stacked the statements and lined up my pen with the pad. I opened the drawer where I kept the things that mattered. I could still hear his voice on the chair at that party. I'm the old man who pays for everything. My hands were steady now. I knew where the knife was. I stood, walked to the hall closet, and reached for the box that held the past and the future in one place. The box sat on the top shelf behind a folded quilt. I took it down and set it on the table. The lid stuck at one corner. I eased it free and lifted out the manila folder that had followed me through 3 moves. The paper was soft at the edges. My wife had teased me about how I kept things. She said one day it would save us. One day had arrived. I placed the folder flat and opened it. Inside were simple things that mattered. The folder with my agreements, the manager's card, and the spare key to the shop. There were also 2 old photos of my kids at the shop, both grinning with sawdust on their sleeves. My thumb rested on their faces. I did not think about codes or clauses. I thought about what these items could do in the morning. A phone call with dates and names. A visit where a manager would look me in the eye and say, "It is your name. You decide." A new lock on a door that had let too many hands in. A calm stop to a stream of money that was carrying my name out to sea. I slid the spare key into my pocket and felt its weight. I tucked the photos back inside and closed the folder. I stared at the closed lid. This was my legacy, not as paper, but as a line I could draw. Not out of spite, but out of care for what came after me. My grandson did not need a grandfather who looked away. My granddaughter did not need a story where the man who loved her let himself be turned into a wallet. My hands shook once, then stilled. I put the folder back in the box, and the box by the door, where I would not forget it. I wrote a note and stuck it to the lid. Bank, 8:05 a.m. Shop after. Then home. Then calls. Simple steps. Not complicated. Just a man choosing where his name would go from here. I turned off the lamp and looked at the house in the dark. I could almost hear my wife breathe beside me, the way she did when a hard day had a plan now. I stood for a long moment. The party was over. The pretend was done. I set my alarm, slid the box closer to my chair, and watched the red numbers on the stove tick. Morning was coming, and with it, the edge I needed. I rushed to the bank. I had the folder under my arm and the manager's card in my pocket. The tellers waved me in. I had built a shelf for their break room once. They still thanked me for it. Ms. Reyes came out from her glass office and smiled like she always did. "Morning, Mr. Mallory." Her voice was soft. It helped. "I need to stop what I should have stopped months ago," I said. My throat felt dry. I set the folder down on the desk between us. She led me into her office and closed the door. I laid out what mattered. My name on the accounts. The card I gave my son years ago. The line that used to be for emergencies. The auto pay that sent his rent on time, like I was a landlord I never agreed to be. I kept the words simple. I wanted no confusion today. I was done making excuses. Miss Reyes listened. She looked at the screen. She nodded. "You are the primary," she said. "You decide." No speeches, no clauses. I looked out through the glass. People were in line. A man in a suit. A woman with a baby. Money moves for reasons you can feel and reasons you cannot see. Today I could feel mine. I could feel the weight I had been carrying in my shoulders. "I want his access off," I said. "I want all his cards frozen. I want the rent auto pay stopped." Today, she typed. She confirmed each step in plain language. Card 1, frozen. Card 2, frozen. Line access, removed. Auto pay, stopped. She turned the monitor slightly so I could see the words. It helped to see them. My phone buzzed against my leg. Then again, I knew who it was. I did not look. "Do you want texts turned off for him?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "Everything off. It is my name. It is my cost." She printed a small page that showed the status. Not a contract, not a pile. Just a simple sheet with check marks. It was the first piece of paper in months that made my chest loosen. She slid it to me. I slid it into the folder with the photos. "You okay?" she asked. "No," I said. Then I told the truth. But I will be. I thought about my wife. I thought about the night she left me the grocery list on the fridge in tidy handwriting. She would have liked Miss Reyes. She would have liked the clean way this was done. She hated mess. Before I stood up, I looked at Miss Reyes. He is going to be loud. He can be loud, she said. You can be clear. I thanked her and walked out. The lobby lights were too bright. My legs felt a little heavy. The phone was still buzzing when I hit the sidewalk. I let it vibrate. For once, I wanted the call to chase me, not the other way around. I tucked the folder close to my side and headed for the truck. I had one more door to close, and this time the lock would be mine. The shop sat quiet in the thin morning sun. A strip of frost still clung to the grass behind the dumpster. I rolled up the bay door and stepped inside. The air held the soft, dry smell of lumber and oil. My wife's old radio sat on the shelf. It still had her favorite station taped on the dial. I did not turn it on. I set the folder on the workbench and took a new deadbolt from a drawer. I had bought it weeks ago and let it sit, like a decision I was not ready to make. Today, I was ready. I pulled the old lock and slid the new one in. Screws bit clean. The plate set flush. I tested it twice. It clicked with a sound that felt like a full breath. I wrote a sign in thick black letters and taped it to the front door. Closed for inventory. It was honest enough. I needed to count what was left of me. I walked the floor, the miter saw, the drill press, the hand planes I had sharpened by eye for 40 years. My son had used this place as a story. My dad's shop, he said to clients who liked the idea of legacy, but not the work that came with it. He brought friends by to show off the smell and the dust, then took a call and left. He said he would help. He did not when it mattered. Out back, the truck sat under the tall pine. He had borrowed it so often that people thought it was his. It was not. It was paid for with my hands. I called the tow yard I knew. The man answered on the second ring. "Can you pick up my truck and hold it for me?" I asked. "Keys are in my pocket." "I'll meet you there." He said he could be here in 30 minutes. I took the shop key from the folder and felt its shape. It was the spare I had tucked away after the last time he lost his. That had been the story for years. Lost keys. Lost receipts. Lost apologies. While I waited, I swept the floor. It calmed me. A man needs one thing he can make clean with his own hands. The phone buzzed twice, then stopped, then started again. His name filled the screen. I turned it face down and kept sweeping. The dust floated in a thin beam of light like old snow. The tow truck backed in with a hiss. The driver, a big man with steady eyes, greeted me with my name. He had a son the same age as mine. We had talked about it once in the lot. He had shrugged the way men do when the story is too long for a yard full of engines. "You sure?" he asked. "I'm sure," I said. We winched the truck slow and smooth. Metal groaned. Chains clinked. The driver set the brake and nodded. He handed me a small tag with a number on it. "You call me when you want it back," he said. I watched the truck leave the lot, red lights winking. It felt like cutting a rope that had been rubbing my skin raw for a long time. Not a clean joy, something else. Sad and steady and final. My phone lit again, bright in the cold air. His name filled the screen. The first decline had found him. I let it ring once. Then I prepared to answer. I had done the first cuts. The cards were frozen. The lock was new. The truck was gone from the lot. For the first time in years, I was not reacting. I was moving. It would cost me noise and anger, maybe some ugly words in front of the kids. But justice, for me, was simple. It felt close enough to touch, and I knew. Soon I'm going to finish my revenge. You will not believe how harsh it's going to be. But before we continue, Please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I held the phone to my ear and kept my voice ready. "What did you do?" he said. "No hello. My card died at the register." "You made me a joke." "I stopped paying for your life," I said. "You can't." "Rent's due. We have plans tonight." "No." I kept my voice even. 3 o'clock. Bank. We talk with Miss Reyes, or we do not talk again. Silence. I could hear a TV on his end. He breathed through his nose sharp. "You froze the rent?" "Yes." "You'll regret this," he said. "I'll tell people you're slipping." "Tell them," I said. "Bring any keys you still have." Another beat. I pictured him pacing that apartment I had been paying for, hand in his hair, looking for the angle that always worked. "You want me to beg?" he said, softer now. "I want you to stand up," I said. 3 o'clock. He swore. Then, "Fine." I ended the call. My hand shook once, then steadied. I looked at the sign on my door. It felt like a sentence about more than lumber. I thought about my grandchildren, about how they look at me when I fix a toy or pour syrup. I am the man who makes things work. I had let myself become the man who keeps someone else from facing his own bill. That was on me. I slid the folder under my arm and locked the new lock. The metal clicked clean. I started walking. The air bit a little. My legs felt heavy and useful at the same time. I did not know what he would try next. I only knew I would not be standing there by myself when it came. 3 o'clock. Witnesses. Bright glass and plain words. I kept my eyes on the sidewalk and my head clear. This was not about punishing a boy. This was about stopping a man from eating my name. At the corner I paused and looked back at the shop. The toe marks were still fresh on the asphalt. The window held my paper sign like a small flag. It was not much to the world. To me it was a line. I checked my watch. 2 hours and change. I texted Ms. Reyes. "Need a room at 3. She replied in a minute. "Reserved." I put the phone away. I turned toward the bank and kept moving. The first steps were done. The next ones would be louder. That was all right. I had a voice, and this time I was going to use it. He came in 5 minutes late, jaw tight, wife behind him. She would not meet my eyes. Her coat looked new. He dropped into the chair like it owed him a seat. "Undo it," he said. Ms. Reyes kept her tone calm. "Mr. Mallory controls these accounts," she said. "He asked to freeze extra cards and stop the auto pay. That is done." He stared at her, then at me. "What do you want?" "Respect," I said, "and repayment." He tilted his head, smiling without warmth. "You want to bleed me?" "I want you off my back." Ms. Reyes slid one page to the middle of the glass table. Not a stack, just a summary. Balances, dates, a total, $41,192. The number sat there like a brick. "That can't be right," he said. "It is," I said. "You know it is." His wife found her voice. "He's your son," she said. "This is cruel." "If I walked away, that would be cruel," I said. "This is a stop." He looked around at the lobby, hungry for eyes. A couple glanced over, then went back to their business. No one came to rescue him. $300 a month, he said. "Turn the cards back on." "No," I said. "No more cards." 1,000 on Fridays. Starting this week. He leaned in, lower voice. "You think this makes you strong?" "It makes me honest," I said. He tried one more angle. "People will think you're losing it." "They already saw me lose," I said. "I am done with that." Ms. Reyes waited, hands folded. The room felt bright and simple. I opened my folder an inch. On top were the 2 photos. Him and his sister at the shop, small and happy, sleeves dusty. I let him see them for a second. Then I slid them back inside. He tapped the table. "You're going to pay for this," he whispered. I looked at Miss Reyes. He has a small gas card, I said. Freeze that one too. She clicked once. Done. He flinched. His wife's mouth opened, then closed. She touched his sleeve. Please, she said. So quiet I almost missed it. Not to me, to him. He stood, scraping the chair. This isn't over, he said. I know, I said. He stormed out. The door swung and thumped back. His wife followed, then stopped in the doorway and turned to me. He'll make it ugly, she said. It already was, I said. She left. The lobby hummed like any Tuesday. Ms. Reyes slid the page toward me. I put it in the folder with the photos. My hands were steady. Do you need anything else today? She asked. No, I said. That was the thing I needed. I walked out into the daylight. The air felt cold and clean. I could feel the next move coming. I did not know its shape yet, only that it would hit hard, and I would be ready to meet it. He came to my porch before dinner, no call first. He walked fast, jaw tight, eyes bright. He had that smile he used when he thought a crowd might form. There was no crowd here, just my steps, my chair, and the maple tree that still held a few red leaves. You done playing games? He said. He didn't wait to be invited in. I held the screen door with one hand and pointed to the chair with the other. Sit, I said. He did not. He paced. You embarrassed me at the bank, he said. You embarrassed me in front of my wife. You embarrassed yourself, I said. Sit. He sat, but on the edge, like he might bolt. He looked past me into my living room, cataloging. He had always done that. Even as a boy, he would scan a room for what could be his. He used to ask if he could have my tape measure. He would slip it in his pocket and say he forgot. I would laugh and take it back. Somewhere along the line, the laughing stopped and the taking stayed. You're not thinking straight, he said now. You're old. You should not be handling money. I put my phone on the table between us, screen down. The red light glowed near the top. He did not see it. I am thinking just fine, I said. He leaned forward. We can put you somewhere safe, he said. A place that watches you. You would not have to worry about bills or the house or the shop. I will handle things. I will make sure your name is used right. He had said a version of this when my wife was dying. He had said it as care then. It had sounded sweet. I had been raw and tired and afraid. Now I could hear the teeth in it. You took that truck, he said. You changed locks. You froze the rent. You made me beg at a glass table. How does that feel to you? I thought of the nights he had called at midnight for just a little help. I thought of his son's birthday where he showed up late and loud and handed him a toy I had paid for, then took a bow like a man who had split the sea. I thought of the last time my wife was in this chair, hand on my knee, saying, You did not raise him to be cruel, but he learned it anyway. You always said I was your pride, he said. You always said I was your partner in the shop. I said you were welcome there, I said. I said, show up. You did not. He stood. Here is what is going to happen, he said. You're going to give me the keys. You are going to unfreeze the cards. You are going to fix the rent. Or I am going to make your life small. I will tell the neighbors you are slipping. I will tell the kids you are losing your mind. I will tell anyone who will listen that you are dangerous to yourself. I looked at the phone. The red dot still glowed. You should leave, I said. Now. He stepped close enough that I could smell the cologne he wore for other people. Watch me, he said. It did not sound like a promise. It sounded like a plan. He turned and went down the steps, fast. Over his shoulder. Tonight. I'm getting my truck. I reached out and hit stop on the recording. Then I sent the file to my accounts. My hands were steady. I watched him get in a car I had made possible and drive off like the street belonged to him. The sky had turned the color of wet steel. I went inside and put on my coat. If he was coming tonight, I was not going to let the shop sit in the dark by itself. I did not go to his apartment. I knew his door code once. He had changed it like a secret. Instead, I waited in my kitchen with the folder open and a yellow pad beside it. The recording sat on the phone like a heavy coin. I wrote one page, clear lines, dates. The $41,192 total. My terms. $1,000 every Friday, starting this week. No more cards. No more keys. We could review in 6 months. If he would not do it, then the police would see the clip where he threatened to handle me, and the officer we both knew would hear my side first, not last. It was not a legal thing. It was a simple thing. Either he would step up or he would step out. 8 o'clock came and went, then 9. At 10, headlights slid over the wall. I went out and met him in the driveway. He had a cap on and that same fast walk. No wife, no kids. He looked at my porch light like it had offended him. "What is this now?" he asked. "A map out," I said. I handed him the yellow page. He skimmed it. He snorted. "Lectures and lists," he said. "You love those." I kept my voice even. "If you sign, we get to work. You pay back what you took. We stand next to each other again. Maybe not today, but later. If you do not sign, the clip goes to the police, and I file a report if you show up at my shop again. That is it." He looked up at me then, like he was seeing me new. Maybe it was the word report. Maybe it was that I was using the same calm I used to use with the table saw. Slow feed, steady hands. "You ever think why I spend?" he asked. "You were never home. You loved that shop more than us. Mom covered for you. She told us you were making a future. What about now? What do I get now?" "You got a roof and a truck and a life," I said. "You got a father who said yes too long because he was grieving too. I miss her every day. I thought if I kept you full, I would not have to feel empty." He stared at the page. I saw him swallow. For a heartbeat, I saw the boy who used to fall asleep in the passenger seat while I drove home from Little League. Dirt on his knees, sunburned nose, mouth open. Then whatever had softened in him closed back up. 1,000 on Fridays, he said, mocking my words. "You going to pat my head if I hit your little mark?" "I am going to stop letting you drown me," I said. "That is all." He folded the page once. "You come to my place, old man. I will have you removed." He stuck the page back at me. "I do not sign anything." I kept my face still. I replaced the page in the folder, on top of the bank summary and the 2 photos. "Then do not come to mine," I said. "Not tonight. Not any night." He stepped in close. "You cannot stop me," he said. "You forget who you raised." "I remember exactly who I raised," I said. "That is why I changed the locks." He smiled then, quick and ugly. "We will see," he said. He backed toward his car. He pointed at me like he was marking me on a list. "Watch your shop," he said. "Doors can be opened." He got in and drove off without looking back. The tail lights smeared red in the damp air. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A motion alert. The camera at the shop had woken up. I drove fast. Not wild. Fast enough that the tires hummed. The road to the shop was mostly empty. Rain misted the windshield, the kind that makes the wipers squeak on the upstroke. My hands were steady on the wheel. I did not turn on the radio. I did not call anyone. I did not want to split my head with more voices. The lot was dark except for the small light above the back door. The sign on the front still said "Closed for inventory." A shadow moved at the side window. A thin shape. My son had a flashlight in his mouth and both hands on the frame. He was trying to pry the trim with a flat bar. I felt a heat in my chest that was not anger. It was a kind of sorrow that had teeth. I parked across the street and hit the alarm on my phone. It barked inside the shop, then grew into a high, steady wail. He froze. The flat bar clattered to the ground. He looked around, wild like a deer that had jumped a fence into a new yard. "Go home," I said, loud enough to carry. He squinted. "You called the cops?" he yelled back. He kicked the door once, small and mean. The new lock held. Blue lights curved into the lot 3 minutes later. The officer who stepped out was the same one who had helped me when a trailer was clipped by a drunk driver last year. He knew my name. He also knew my son's. He walked to me first. "You okay, Frank?" he asked. "I am," I said. "He is not." My son tried to laugh. He pointed at me. "My dad is confused," he said. "This is my shop too." "No, it is not," I said. I held up the sign. "Closed," I said. And I asked him to leave. Twice. The officer turned to my son. "You can talk or you can listen," he said. "Pick one." My son did not pick either. He went straight to volume. "He's freezing my rent," he said. "He took my truck. He's making me look crazy. He needs to be in a home." The officer did not blink. "Tonight is not about rent," he said. "Tonight is about you trying a door that is not yours." I handed the officer my phone. I did not play the porch recording. I did not want to stack it all at once. I played the camera clip instead. It showed my son pulling at the frame, then wedging the flat bar, then kicking. Simple as that. No story around it. No jokes. Just hands and a door. The officer watched. He nodded once. He looked back at my son. "You leave now," he said. "If you come back, he files a report. If you break anything, I take you in. Do you understand?" My son puffed up. Then he deflated a little. "He is my father," he said, but softer. It sounded like lines he had practiced for other rooms. "And you are a grown man," the officer said. "Go home." He looked at me over the hood of the patrol car. He mouthed something I could not hear. It might have been an insult. It might have been my name. He got in his car and drove away fast. The officer wrote an incident number on a card and handed it to me. "You call if he shows up again," he said. "Tonight or any night." "I will," I said. He waited a beat. "You sure you're okay, Frank?" I looked at the shop. The new lock was scuffed but solid. The sign still hung square in the window. "I am," I said. "Thank you." He pulled away. The lot went quiet again. I stood there and listened to the heater kick on inside the shop. It sounded like breath. My phone lit. A new text from an unknown number. It was from his wife. "We need to talk. Now." She was in my driveway 20 minutes later. She had slippers on like she had left in a hurry. Her hair was down. She looked younger than I usually let myself admit. Tired, too. The kids were in the back seat, sleepy. My granddaughter's face was pressed to the glass. My grandson held a stuffed bear. They both lifted their hands when they saw me, the way kids do when they do not know why they are sad. She got out and closed the car door gently. "He told me you called the police," she said low and quick. "He said you want him in jail." "I want him to stop," I said. "That is all I have wanted for a long time." She hugged her arms to her body. The porch light picked up the shine in her eyes. "We're behind on rent now," she said. "The landlord is asking questions." "I do not have that kind of money. He told me you always fix it." "I used to," I said. "I made a mistake." "You're his father," she said. "He helped you when your wife died." "He helped with the shop." "He stood in the shop," I said. "He posed for pictures. He did not help when it mattered." She flinched, then she straightened. "He loves you," she said. "He's just loud sometimes." "He is cruel," I said. The word tasted like metal. "He uses you when he needs cover. He uses the kids when he wants me to bend. He uses my name when he wants a life he has not earned." She opened her mouth to argue. Then she closed it. "He said he would fix it," she said, almost to herself. He told me he had a plan. He always has a plan. How many have worked? I asked. We stood there with the cold biting our ears. A car went by slow, then sped up. She looked at the house like it was a church she did not want to enter. What happens now? She asked. You two make your own budget, I said. He can come to my table when he is ready to pay back $1,000 a week, every week. He can come when he can look at me without jokes. You can come here any time. The kids can come any time. I will feed them. I will help them with homework. I will not hand him money again. Her mouth trembled. She looked back at the car. The kids watched us like a movie with the sound off. He is going to scorch the earth, she whispered. He will tell people you hit him. He will tell people you are not safe with the kids. He will say anything. He already has, I said. And I am still here. She nodded once, small. A tear slid down, fast. She wiped it with the heel of her hand like she was angry at it. Do you remember the night at the hospital? She asked. When your wife was sick and he did stand next to you for a while? He sat on the floor with his head on the wall. He cried. I held his hand. He loved you then. I saw it. I remember, I said. My voice came out rough. I have been trying to hold that boy inside the man I keep seeing. She looked at the kids again. I do not know how to keep them safe in this, she said. You can bring them here, I said. Any time. You do not have to ask him. She stared at me like I had just opened a door she thought was nailed shut. He will hate that, she said. I know, I said. He already hates a lot of things I'm doing. She laughed once, without humor. He is going to come back tonight, she said. He said he would. I know, I said. I looked at the phone in my hand. The porch recording sat there. The camera clip sat there. The card with the incident number sat in my pocket. And I am ready. The folder sat on the table. The phone held the porch clip and the camera clip. The incident number card was in my pocket. The new lock was steady under my hand. Tonight I'm going to hold every line. I'm going to reinstall my name into the family and save my legacy. No more jokes and no more whispers. Morning came hard and bright. I carried the folder under my arm and the incident number card in my pocket. I did not bring every page, just what mattered. I met him at O'Brien's office 2 blocks from the bank. Mr. O'Brien had done my taxes since before my son could ride a bike. He knew my shop. He knew my wife. He knew how to speak plain. He was already seated when we walked in. Sit, he said. No coffee, no cookies, just a worn oak table and a calculator with big buttons. I set the bank summary in front of him. I set the yellow page with my terms next to it. He slid both closer. He put on his glasses. He read aloud. Line by line. Dates, amounts, total. $41,192. He said the number without judgment. He pressed the calculator once. The same number looked back. My son started to talk over him. Mr. O'Brien raised a hand. You'll get your turn, he said. He looked at me. You are the primary on these, he said. You can shut them off. You did. Good. He turned to my son. Your father is not asking for interest, he said. He is not asking for fees. He is asking for the money you spent to come back at $1,000 a week until this is $0. That is lenient. That is love in a hard coat. My son leaned back, eyes on the ceiling. He wants to look like a hero, he said. No, I said. I want to stop sinking. Mr. O'Brien placed a single sheet in the middle of the table. Not a contract. A simple acknowledgement. Today's date. The total. The plan. $1,000 every Friday, starting this week, until paid. A line that said, if you miss 2 weeks, this goes to court. He left a blank for a signature. I do not need your story, Mr. O'Brien said. I need your decision. My son laughed once. You're going to drag me into court? I am going to keep my house, I said. Pick your sentence. He looked at the door. He looked at me. His jaw moved like he was chewing a nail. For a second I saw the boy who cried at the hospital. For a second I wanted to call it off. Then I remembered the flat bar at my window. I slid my phone across the table. The screen was dark, but he knew what sat inside it. The porch words, the camera clip, the incident number card in my pocket. Not a threat, a shape. He grabbed the pen. He signed hard, like he was stabbing the page. Mr. O'Brien signed as a witness. He slid the copy to my son. He handed mine back to me. Friday, he said. In person. My son stood. He leaned in close. You think this is over? He whispered. No, I said. I think it finally started. He left without looking at me. The door thumped shut. Mr. O'Brien's eyes were kind. You did the hard thing, he said. It felt like the only thing, I said. I stepped into the hallway. My phone buzzed. A message from Ms. Reyes. Funds received? I typed back, Friday. We'll see. I put the signed page in the folder and closed it. The first clean line in a long time had just been drawn. The next one needed ink. I picked the truck up from the yard that morning and signed the release. I sold it that afternoon. Alvarez, a contractor I trusted, counted the cash at my kitchen table. He worked with his hands and kept his word. 17.5, he said. Fair for both of us. I nodded. He shook my hand like men do when it still means something. He drove the truck away slow, like he knew it had been mine first. I went straight to the bank. Ms. Reyes met me at the counter. I put the cash down and the signed page beside it. She did not ask for the story. She made the deposit. She stamped the receipt. The total on my debt page shrank. It was a small joy, but it was clean. Anything else today? She asked. Yes, I said. 2 small savings accounts. One for each grandchild. I gave her their names and birthdays. She set them up. I put a modest start into both. $50 each to begin. It was not much. It was a promise. My name would pay forward, not out. I closed the old business line next. 1 form. 1 signature. The screen changed and the number went dark. It felt like closing a window before a storm. At the shop, I swept again. I set aside a few tools I would not need as often anymore. Not because I was done, because I was changing how I worked. I taped a new paper to the wall by the clock. Saturday bench, kids welcome. 10 a.m. I kept it simple. If 2 showed up, I would teach 2. If none came, I would plane the edge of a board and breathe. My phone buzzed. A text from my son. Where's the truck? I typed, sold, debt down. See you Friday. 3 dots blinked. Then nothing. Then, you're a joke. I put the phone face down. I thought about the class sign and the 2 small accounts. I thought about my wife's voice when she said, "It matters that you build something after the break." I had been breaking for months. Now I was building. That night I slept through until the heater clicked at 5. The house felt steady. The new lock sat solid in the door. I walked to the kitchen and poured coffee. I put the folder on the table and opened it. The signed page was on top. Under it, the bank slip from the deposit. Under that, the 2 account cards for the kids with their names printed in neat black letters. The phone buzzed again. It was not him. It was Ms. Reyes. Just a note. Friday deposits after 3 go to Monday. I typed back, "Thank you." Then I stared at the clock. I could feel Friday coming like a train. I did not know which way he would jump. I only knew I had rails now. And they ran forward. We met at a cafe with small tables and big windows. No costumes. No crowd. Just the 2 of us and the cheap clock over the pastry case. He came in on time. He looked tired and expensive. He did not order anything. He sat. He did not touch the signed page I had set in the middle of the table. He stared at it like it was a live wire. "You wanted power," he said. Now you have it. Happy? I wanted peace, I said. You cut off your son, he said. That is what people will hear. I cut off misuse, I said. You are welcome here when you're a man. He leaned in. His voice dropped. Turn it all back on. I'll make this go away. No, I said. I am done buying quiet. He blew air through his nose. You always liked to look noble. You were never home. You missed games. You missed birthdays. Mom cried at night. You know that? I know, I said. And I wish I could go back and stand in those rooms. I cannot. I can stand in this one. Today, I am your father, not your wallet. He tapped the table. What do you want from me? 6 months of $1,000 Fridays, I said. No more cards. No more keys. Therapy once a week. Real work, real hours. Then we talk. If you miss 2 weeks, I file what I have and step back. No yelling, no fights, just distance. He laughed, but it broke at the end. You think you can parent me at 40? I think I can protect what is left, I said, and I can protect your children. They will come to my house any time they want. You do not get a vote on that. He stared at the window. A bus hissed past. The barista clinked cups. He looked back at me. You love them more than me, he said. I love them the same way I loved you, I said. But I learned from you. I will not let them think love pays for damage. He reached for the paper. He did not tear it. He did not sign a second one. He folded it, slow. He slid it back. 1,000 this Friday, he said. After that, we'll see. We will, I said. And if you stop, the door closes. It will not be me slamming it. It will be your own hand letting go. He stood. He looked like he wanted to say something sharp. He did not. He put his hands in his coat and walked out. The bell over the door made a small, old sound. I sat there with the paper between my hands. My coffee had gone cold. I did not care. I texted his wife. Kids welcome Saturday at 10. Pancakes at 9. 3 dots blinked. Then, we'll be there. I looked out at the street and felt the quiet settle like a chair I had built for myself. It held. A year had passed. Halloween came back around. The maple was almost bare. I set out a bowl of small chocolate bars and kept coffee hot in a thermos. The porch smelled like cold leaves. Kids moved in little waves up and down the street. My granddaughter came as a fox again. My grandson came as a train conductor with a better hat this year. They ran up the walk and hit me in the ribs with hugs like they were trying to anchor me to the step. We ate pancakes in the kitchen before the first knock. I fixed a mask strap with blue painter's tape. He laughed. She stole an extra chocolate and thought I did not see. I saw. I let it go. Their mother stood at the sidewalk and waved. She looked tired and steady. We talked about Saturday bench. They had built a birdhouse in a crooked picture frame. It hangs in the kitchen, she said. It leans a little. I love it. We did not say his name. He was not on the sidewalk. He had not been by in months. The transfers came most Fridays, sometimes late, never a word attached, no call, no knock. When I saw him on the street from my truck, he crossed without looking up. I did not chase him. I had chased him for years. My phone buzzed once. A notice. 1,000 deposited. No message. I typed, "Thank you," and erased it. I put the phone face down. I thought about the night on the porch with the red recording light. I thought about the bank table. I thought about the door at the shop holding while he kicked it. I did not feel triumph. I felt the cost. I had cracked us. I knew it. The line I drew had split clean through the middle of a family. But the rot had stopped where it touched my name. The kids were safe here. The house was paid. The shop was quiet. The 2 small accounts in their names had grown in small steps. Not big. Steady. I wanted to believe there was a way back for him. Not today. Not soon. Maybe a year from now. Maybe on a Tuesday with no reason at all. I would answer the knock if it came with a different voice. I could not save us all, but I saved the part worth coming home to. Would you call all of this cruelty or the first honest thing I have done? Would you draw the same line? Share your opinions in the comment section below.
My grandpa's worst really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.